Man, so this situation has been hilarious, seeing things progress. They think folks are really upset rather than folks being shocked that Drake would stoop this low. This is giving more laughable content every single day. So right now, everyone is basically reacting to Lucian Grainge filing some paperwork where he basically just said, listen, I put it on my mama that Drake and his lawyers are ridiculous to believe that with me being in control of his catalog, his publishing, that I will have a vested interest in demeaning his value. We're going to get into Lucian's full declaration. That is the CEO of UMG. We can get into all of that. And we're also going to check out a bit of the back and forth between Drake's lawyers and the judge that's overseeing everything. All right. And I'm telling you, this shit is truly, honestly laughable that this shit is in trial. But all right, let's start off with Lucian Grainge and what he had to say, and then we'll get some reactions too. So Lucian says, I am the chairman and CEO of Universal Music Group, which is the indirect parent company of the defendant UMG Recording. So plaintiff Aubrey Drake Graham claims that I was behind a scheme to devalue his brand through the release and promotion of the Kendrick Lamar recording Not Like Us. An allegation that makes no sense due to the fact that the company that I run, Universal Music Group, has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in Drake, including long-standing and critical financial support for his recording career, the purchase and ownership of the bulk of his recording catalog, and the purchase of his music publishing rights. They said they are in the Drake business. Why would they ruin their own investment? Why? Make sense of that. All right. It also makes no sense whatsoever as I run a publicly traded multi-billion-dollar multinational corporation whose operations in over 60 countries covering nearly 200 markets ultimately report up to me. Our business encompasses over 100 record labels as well as a multinational music publishing division, global merchandise, and direct-to-consumer businesses. The worldwide Virgin Music label services, short and long form audio-visual production, and a variety of other businesses, in which its own CEO, president, and its own management structure. Collectively, these businesses issue tens of thousands of releases and product each month. My focus is on developing and implementing the global strategy that will shape UMG for generations to come. In light of this responsibility, the proposition that I am in the weeds as to the release and promotion of any particular sound recording from the thousands of UMG releases throughout the world is farcical. And given my role, I am accustomed and fortunately largely resigned to personal attacks, and I further recognize that the frequent strategy of UMG's litigation opponents is to attempt to waste my and UMG's time and resources with discovery of the sort that Drake is seeking here, either in an attempt to gain media attention or in an effort to force some kind of commercial renegotiation or financial concessions. But given Drake's motion, I would like to make it quite clear that I had never heard the recording Not Like Us, nor ever saw the corresponding cover art or music video until after they were released by Interscope Records. Whilst, as a part of my role, I certainly have financial oversight of and responsibility for UMG's global businesses. The proposition that I was involved in, much less responsible for, reviewing and improving the content of Not Like Us, its cover art or music video, or for determining or directing the promotion of those materials, is groundless and indeed ridiculous. I declare under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct, executed on August 14, 2025 in Monterey, California. So what's going on is that Drake and his lawyers are playing upon the ignorance of media or casual viewers, not understanding Lucian's actual role in UMG. And they just use him as the face to go ahead and trash him for whatever goes on. But a lot of times, like, you know, you guys have your job, right? You have the boss, then you have the assistants, and then you have assistants to the damn assistants. And you know that everyone is delegated certain areas to focus on within that company. Ultimately, the face of the company is going to be blamed by most things, but there's usually someone under him that has to specifically deal with that issue, that problem, or seeing some process through. Lucian is saying, I'm at such a big level to even think that I will be within the in and outs of what my subsidiaries are up to. That's stupid. That's dumb. Do you know who the fuck I am? Huh? Like, imagine Roger Goodell going through the damn playbooks. Let's do this. Y'all know I love sports analogies. Let's just talk like this is sports. For the NFL, imagine Roger Goodell. For the NBA, let's imagine Adam Silver, all right? So that's the position that UMG was in, Lucian Grainge is in. And two of the biggest stars are set to match up in the battle, all right? But both of them belong to different teams under your umbrella. In the NFL, we'll talk about the AFC versus NFC, the Chiefs versus the Eagles. In the NBA, let's say East versus West, of course, and the Cavs versus Golden State. So we correlate that to what's going on with UMG. You have Interscope versus Republic. All right, so that's Kendrick on Interscope, Drake, Republic. Now the infrastructure is in place so that no matter what happens, UMG makes money, NFL makes money, NBA makes money. They will continue to promote the spectacle that comes from the product that's produced by these labels, these artists, or these teams. They'll promote that, but they're going to make their money regardless. No matter who wins, they feel like they can't lose either way because these are their two biggest cash cows in hip hop. Say for instance, these two dudes right here. Now, in my opinion, UMG wrongfully stepped in to protect Drake from Pusha T's harsh truths, but Drake was the bigger artist for sure in comparison to Pusha T. He was expendable. That's like Derrick Henry trying to fight against the league for whatever reason, for whatever cause. Like, yeah, all right, buddy, you're valuable, but you're not Patrick Mahomes. So in this situation, Drake has an opponent that's right next to him as far as value in hip hop in totality. They don't want to piss off Kendrick Lamar. They want to be in the Kendrick Lamar business too. So in this situation, they got to sit back and just let it play out. They're not a part of the game plan and knowing how the team will win the beat. That's like Roger Goodell sitting with the Eagles and helping them pick plays on how they're gonna win the Super Bowl against his golden boy Patrick Mahomes. You're gonna benefit either way. No matter who wins, you win. But we all know at the end of the day, the losers are going to say that the game was rigged. But let's check out some opinions, dog. Dude says Lucian Grainge told the court that he owns the bulk of Drake's catalog and has spent hundreds of millions to ensure his success. But one of you morons on Twitter is still going to come in my comments and try to tell me there's some guy, the same guy, trying to diminish Drake's career. Dummy, that's not how this works. You don't build a billion-dollar artist for 15 years, then just destroy him in one crazy summer. So why they didn't protect him? That's what they're gonna say. They say Drake never brought up splits again after Kendrick said, let's speak on percentage, show me your splits. I'll make sure I double back, which now we know why he never brought it back up again. That boy is projecting so hard. Kendrick got total freedom at UMG, which is good for UMG since they don't need to back him financially, but it also is bad because they can't take down his music. He dropped 616 and UMG didn't do shit because they can't. I don't know how true that is, but it sounds funny. Y'all thought if UMG was gonna give Drake 400 million and he get to keep his masters. I mean, yo, it don't work like that, chat. It's one or the other. Kendrick making sure UMG can't censor his shit puts both Drake and UMG in the funniest spot in this case. They said, man out here flexing like a mogul while basically on a payment plan. Y'all funny. It's a good time to bring this back up. This is Z from Audio Mac. He says, this right here. On Champagne Poetry, Drake admits he has such an unwavering trust in his management. He doesn't look at or sign his contracts. Longtime manager Future signs them on his behalf. Young artist, you're not Drake. Have your lawyer review and explain your contracts to you. And the lyric says, they don't want a problem with the boy, but it's going to be. Trusting my brothers is as strong as I know it should be. Future signed the contracts. He don't even show it to me. I don't have to second guess nothing with no one I love. Oh shit. Alright, now let's move on to the situation with UMG and their lawyers. You see, UMG has established that they do not have to prove that Drake likes them young. Alright. They just have to prove that the rumors were out there before Kendrick joked about them and not like us. And they're making it clear that Drake wasn't even aware of the rumors because he brought the rumors up himself first. Also provided documentation in its own court filings, which were articles, etc., that fueled these rumors. Alright, in reaction to things of that sort, shit got crazy. Alright, let's tap into it. The judge says, let me go back because we were addressing the various inferences that can be drawn from the lyrics. And one question I have for you is, do I have to draw an inference from these lyrics? Don't they speak plainly? So for example, let's go back to the Taylor freestyle lyric, which is talk about him like a young girl's. That's a gift from me. And in context with the AI voice of Tupac, is clearly, one can clearly read it to be a goad from Drake to Kendrick as part of their back and forth in a rap battle to bring up rumors regarding pedophilia and Drake. I don't know how else one could logically read that. If you have an alternate reading, I like to hear it, but I don't think I have to draw an extreme inference to understand what that line is. Basically, the judge is saying Drake told him to do it. Everyone that's gonna read that, he told him to do it. And he did it, plain and simple. So explain this shit to me your way. Try me. So Drake's lawyer says, well, Your Honor. Then the judge fire back says, what would be the inference that would be favorable to the plaintiff off that line, other than the one that I just put forward? And the lawyer says, because Your Honor, you would have to consider, as Mr. Ransom says, black letter law and opinion doctrine. You don't slice out a single line or a single statement from a song in order to ascertain its meaning. You consider the entire song and the entire lyrics in context. So the judge says, but I'm asking you about this line in this song. How would I read it? You said I can't draw inferences from these song lyrics. I could just consider their existence. But do I have to draw an inference? Yes, you cut him off. The words are the words. Talk about him like a young girl's. How else would I read that? Drake's lawyer says, Your Honor, I don't understand what legal relevance that has to the question of how a reasonable audience member would have understood the lyrics, Not Like Us. Before you even get to talking about the lyrics in this prior song, you have to come to the conclusion that your average listener to Not Like Us came into the song with that lyric in mind, had heard that song, had been exposed to it, and had understood the lyrics in the same way that Your Honor is reading them. And there's simply no basis on which to make that determination at the pleading stage in this case. They may come forward with evidence. So they trying their best to talk this shit away, saying, listen, everybody may not have heard the tailor-made freestyle, but they heard Not Like Us. So the judge says, let me have you pause there. I understand that a lot of these cases arise in a very traditional context of a newspaper article or an op-ed or a single communication. But here we have songs that are in communication with each other, a dialogue with one another. One artist releases a song, a few hours later, another song is released that responds to that song, and back and forth. That is the context in which these lyrics arise. So to take Not Like Us as a specific example and just to isolate it, isn't that taking it out of the broader context in which it existed? It will almost be like taking a single paragraph out of an op-ed and not looking at the headlines and the remainder of the article, because you can't look at Not Like Us in isolation. It's a response to what's come before. The judge is cooking. Drake lawyer says, so Your Honor, we're not advocating for the court to not consider the context, that his song was the penultimate track in a rap battle. That's not our argument. Our argument is the song in particular, both in this rap battle and in the history of music, is different. It is different in ubiquity it achieved, so its audience was different. It was different in the fact that it was immediately understood in the allegation of our complaint to contain a precise factual allegation and a single factual allegation, that false allegation that Drake is a pedophile. We allege got cut off again. At the time that Kendrick Lamar released this song, there was no ubiquity. Obviously, he's not a fortune teller. He wasn't going to understand at that moment that he released a song that it was going to have 8-9 billion streams, and he would be singing at the Super Bowl. He was releasing it at a part of his back and forth that occurred over the matter of days. And isn't that the context in which I need to understand the assertions made? Not 6 months later that millions and billions of people have now listened to it and may not have the understanding. But at the time the statement was made, it was in a direct response, right? And let me give you a hypothetical. If two people are arguing on the street and throwing insults back and forth, and then later on one of them says, okay, that particular statement was slander, you defamed me, I have to know what the interchange between these two individuals were that were throwing insults to understand the full context in which whatever statement was made. Isn't that comparable here? Someone insults the other person, responds with further insults. The other person responds with other insults. How can I just take one of these songs in isolation and apply a completely different standard to it? Because 3 months later, billions of people have now listened to it. As long as we ain't stupid, the judge ain't dumb. The judge then says, let me ask you this though. Your client also, in the course of his rap battle, leveled accusations against Mr. Lamar as well. That he's not the biological father of his child, that he beats his girlfriend. Are those facts or opinion? I'm sorry, Your Honor. Are they fact or opinion, those lyrics? I don't know what the court has a record sufficient to be able to make a determination, because the court doesn't have the context behind all the different allegations in the song. There isn't a complaint within 250 allegations giving meaning to the lyrics. We don't know, was there cover art? We don't know, was there a video? We don't know, was there a singular message? We don't know how people understood it. This convenience in which you want the judge to play dumb It's crazy. Essentially, the judge doesn't agree with defamation at all, but the judge is trying to see it out to a certain point. Maybe something will pop up to change my mind, or maybe something will make me say, let me go ahead and put this in front of a jury so they make their decision. But I'm not convinced that there's defamation here, because she understands the context of the battle, especially with Drake inviting the conversation about the defamatory material. Just because the song blew up doesn't mean he didn't say that shit. He should have never said that shit, but he did, and we can't ignore that. But let's see some reactions. He says, talk about him liking young girls, that's a gift from me. He talks about him liking young girls. Basically, that's how shit went down. Glasses Malone react to the situation with what Lucian had to say. He says, told y'all a long time ago, that's the deal. Screwface Jean, who was mentioned in the lawsuit, says, me fighting UMG claims on reactions even though I'm supposed to be in a dark secret alliance with them. That's a funny tweet. The stop, they say, I do wonder what some Kendrick fans will do if the domestic violence allegations are confirmed. Dude says, the fan base who got the age of consent of Colorado memorized because of that video trying to be funny in the comments is so... Y'all know what that video is. That's when Drake was kissing that 17-year-old, and so on and so forth, man. But yo, let me go ahead and get this out to y'all so y'all can give me y'all opinion in the comment section below. I'm going to get up out of here though. This is another update with Stace. Yo.